That's how it works. All right. Welcome, everybody. For years, we have been told protein is king, or vegetables are king, or fruit is king, or breathing is king. Everything is king. And now it is time for fiber to have its 5 minutes of fame in the spotlight. And that's what we're going to be looking at, diving deep into not just the best fibers to get, but why you need to be aware of fads, which we seem to be experiencing again and again and again. Watch this, stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your co-host, Scott Patton. Joining us, as usual, health engineer Martin Patella. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
I am so full of it, Scott.
And hi, George. Glad to have you here. I'm gonna pull back the curtain for a second.
Yeah.
George shuns fads. Well, what if the fad is a good thing? But the way that we work at this is I listen to Martin and then I think about it and then I decide, this would be a good topic to have. Or I'm looking at somebody else's video and I think, that's a really good topic to have. And then I go to ChatGPT and I stick in this thing and I say, make us an outline. And so it then makes an outline, and we usually get 50% through the outline, and then we sign off. So it's just that, an outline. It's not a script or anything else. And the reason I bring all of that up is because in this section, which you're now in section 2, this is the sentence that ChatGPT wrote. And I just looked at it, laughed, and I thought, I have to share this with everybody. So are you ready, Martin?
I think so. I'm just being assaulted by other issues from out there, but whatever.
The world doesn't stop, does it? When we get on.
I have this business to run, and it wants me to attend to it, and this talking to other people is just so bloody inconvenient. I need to get a digital clone of me that's going to do this or the other thing. I think I'm going to stay here and get a digital clone to do the other thing.
Do the other thing, for sure.
Yeah.
So here is the quote from our ChatGPT document.
Yeah.
Position yourself as a guide, not a preacher. I just thought it was hilarious, right? And of course, hey, we do preach. We preach a lot of things, and we preach it over and over and over again because as human beings, we need repetition. So what we're going to be talking about is trends and fads. And there's one in particular that's just happening. I've never heard of it. Martin had never heard of it. So if you've never heard of it,
it's new.
It's new. If you have heard of it, just two old fogies that are behind the times. And it is called fiber maxing. And we don't actually know what it is, although we can assume.
I know exactly what it is.
Tell us, what is fiber maxing?
So back when, about 18, 19 years ago, we used to do what's known as the bentonite bomb. And here's what you would do. Bentonite is a clay that you would add to a glass of water and drink it. Bentonite absorbs. It's a binder. And fiber is a similar thing. Fiber is, the most famous fiber is Metamucil, commercially. It's made from, what the heck is it made of? I forget the name of the plant. Maybe you can look it up. Anyway, it's one of the famous fibers. And what you do is you add a spoonful of it to a glass of water.
Psyllium?
Psyllium, P-S-Y, psyllium. Yeah. And it expands massively. It sucks in water like you wouldn't believe. Like it's a spoonful in a dry powder, and if you leave it in the glass of water, it will actually fill the glass like full of jiggly, solid, fibrous mass. So you want to drink it fast because it's going to expand itself in your innards. Anyway, so this thing was this. You would take a teaspoon of bentonite and teaspoon of psyllium and mix it in a glass of water and drink it, and do that every half an hour
Oh,
until this bomb pushed through your inner tube and it pushed out with it all of the stuck black tarry poopy stuff that was lining your colon.
wow.
That's the bentonite bomb. Now,
Okay.
in the old days, in the days of hunter-gatherer who was eating old school food, or even farming, people had bigger amounts of fiber in their food. It was like 100 grams of fiber as opposed to the 10 grams of fiber that typical pizza eater will get. And the
Right.
target is 35 grams of fiber, which you will acquire with eating broccoli and carrot and other fibrous objects. Okay,
Right.
over.
So
You're
we need fiber in our diet, right?
no fiber, and you are without volume, and there's nothing to absorb the water. So all you will poop are these tiny pellets that are hard to move.
Okay. So there's three reasons why people are looking at this fiber maxing. One is appetite control. Second is gut health. And the third is weight loss. So obviously, if you're eating fiber and it expands in your stomach, I'm no longer feeling hungry.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you feel full of it.
And that'll, of course, affect your appetite, which means you don't eat so much. Fiber, of course, like chocolate cake, is full of calories, right, Martin?
No, actually, no. Fiber is empty of calories. It's indigestible to us humans, although it serves as the prebiotic, the food to the, what are they called? Microbes that live within our guts. It's really
So
cool stuff.
Then that ties in with the healthy gut thing. We need to have the fiber for our digestion to work properly.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. The microbes, like what we know as oligosaccharides, which are complex bits, complex pieces of fiber. Anyway, they digest that. To them, it's food, and to us, it's just volume expander.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about, I'm going to talk about two things now. The first is fads, social media exaggerations. And the second is the danger of extremes. Like people, if you're only eating this fiber, you're not chewing stuff. You're not getting, you're getting this over reliance on powders as opposed to real foods, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Totally. So let's deal with the fads first.
Yeah.
What do we do when everybody in the world is talking about the banana diet?
Well, if only we could anchor ourselves into knowing that our genetics predetermine what's going to be optimal for us. We talked about metabolic typing so many times.
Right.
If you are what is it called? Not ancestor, the opposite of
a descendant.
Oh yeah, there you go, Scott. You have such linguistic skills. If you are a descendant of people who ate a lot of fiber and you don't get enough of it, you'll suffer. If, on the other hand, you're one of the Maasai from Africa who are used to drinking cow's blood coagulated with pure fat, you'll be probably okay.
And if you're from the Polynesian Islands and you're used to fish and coconuts,
yeah, don't be eating corn and fried chicken.
I don't eat very much corn, but I love corn. Like when I have a corn on the cob and it's that peaches and cream corn that they grow outside of Vancouver in British Columbia, it just is.
Okay,
so
yeah,
good.
it's lovely. But you know what you like about it a lot? It's the butter on top.
You're right. I smear it in butter.
Oh yeah.
Now I have this overwhelming desire to go to the store and see if they have corn on the cob.
Yeah.
I have
And
butter.
so you want the corn, but it's an excuse for butter and salt.
Yeah.
It's the popcorn without popcorn. It's the
Yeah, you're
wet
right.
version of
I
it.
like buttered popcorn.
Oh, there we go. That too. Butter and salt. You would probably not mind butter and salt on cardboard, you know?
Yeah. Chunk of meat. Yep, absolutely.
Oh, that
Uh,
too.
okay, so what can people do when they're inundated with all of these social media posts from their friends that are saying, "Oh, look at this, look at this. I tried this and I, lost 20 pounds last week."
Well, so if you're the thyroid type and you put yourself on a keto diet, you will lose weight. I promise. If you are the adrenal type and you put yourself on a keto diet, you will gain weight. I promise.
So the trick is to be aware of yourself, to know thyself.
There we go.
A famous saying, right?
Yeah, the famous do the right thing that's right for you.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about extremes, because it seems to me, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, there was somebody posted something about a group of people doing something really dumb, right?
Yeah.
And they're of the age where they would have been kids or teenagers when the big health concern was people were eating Tide Pods.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Like,
yeah, the challenge. Well,
the challenge,
but this is teenagers challenging each other to do a stupid, dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't kill you, but it makes you feel really crazy because you're swallowing a whole bunch of soap. So what that's going to do is going to give you diarrhea. I'm quite sure of that. And you're going to be, of course, foaming. You'll be
foaming at both ends.
Oh.
And I thought, well, these people must have been the ones that did the Tide Pods 20 odd years ago, right? And we see that we're at the age now where we can recognize longer patterns, right? It's like there's this desire to rebel, and I think people need to encourage the rebellion in a positive, constructive way, as opposed, because when you stuff it down, people are challenging themselves to eat Tide Pods. And imagine having, the president of the United States get on and make an announcement that please stop eating these Tide Pods, right? Or the number one doctor in the country. Like, why would you have to tell people not to eat Tide Pods, right? Like, it's just absolutely crazy. And we find that over and over again, where it's like, no, like, don't, you can have one banana, but 30 bananas is not a good idea. George, you've never heard of the Tide Pod Challenge? You're lucky.
God. Imagine, George, that you are challenging another person to swallow a tablespoonful of laundry detergent.
Where does that even come from, right?
Well, it's teenagers just being funky.
Yeah. So fiber is not magical, but it unlocks some systems that your body already has.
Well, Scott, it is magical in the following way. If you're constipated, and if you do walk for 30 minutes a day, then the most likely problem is not enough volume in sense of fiber and water.
So drink more water and eat fibrous stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so the fibrous stuff could be enough salad and stir fry. Could be that, right? That's why pizza pocket is not good enough. You need the, if you're going to have a slice of sausage and a slice of bread and a slice of cheese, you need to accompany that with a bowl of salad, which many people don't.
And if you're going, we say this almost every week, and I think we just need to keep saying it. If you're eating high processed foods, you're not getting the fiber, you're not getting the nutrition that you need.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you can go a long time on garbage. When you get old, you start paying the price.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about gut fermentation. Like the fiber is going to help the gut because you'd already mentioned the polysaccharides and the bacteria that requires it. And so it's kind of like we're not schizophrenic, but we're more than just a human being. We're a human being that is very dependent on a whole bunch of other critters inside us to do a bunch of work. And those critters love certain types of fiber. And when they get those fibers, they're able to create stuff that really helps us.
Yeah.
So if you can expand on that a little bit more.
So we're gardening. We're gardening inside of our gut.
Mm.
And so step 1, prepare the soil. Step 2, get rid of the weeds. Step 3, plant some seeds in. Step 4, fertilize it. Step 5, water it.
And step 6 is harvest it.
Well, yeah. Well, your harvesting is an ongoing, right? Like it's not the same thing. The harvest now is regular poop every day.
Right. It's a daily harvest.
Daily harvest.
And if you don't have it, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the tools, right? So number 1, fiber. You need fiber because fiber feeds the microbes. If you kill the microbes, you're killing them either with chlorine or glyphosate or antibiotics or drugs or alcohol or I don't know. Those are the main ones.
Right. And a lot of the food that we eat has been sprayed in some of this stuff. And so even though you go, oh, I have an organic garden. Well, if you bought some stuff at the grocery store, it's not organic.
Yeah, glyphosate is bad news everywhere. And these days, it's used to grow grains, wheat, but also chickpeas and lentils. So you bought the hummus ready-made, and you're eating it with pita bread.
Yeah.
Double down.
I went to the grocery store a couple of months ago in Canada, and I love hummus. So I went to buy it, and then I did a really, really dumb thing. I looked at the label, and it's a
long label. It doesn't say chickpeas, salt, olive oil, does it?
No, and it took me 5 different labels before I found one that didn't have some form of canola or vegetable oil. In other words, a seed oil that has been highly processed.
Yeah, and also sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate and God knows what else that they use to make it hold, because they make it in vast batches that need to sit on a shelf for at least 10 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
We really need to move from buying stuff at the store to growing stuff and then making it ourselves.
Yeah, we have the Industrial Revolution is awesome when it comes to creature comfort, but it has 2 dangers. One, it overprocesses the food. So even though the food is cheaper than it's ever been, the value of that food is also gone down with that price.
Yeah.
The other thing that we have a problem with is that we're creating so much comfort that there's not enough exercise and not enough resistance. So we're atrophying by being too comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay,
well,
so
and the best example of that analogy would be going to the gym, right? Like you go to the gym, you say, okay, I'm going to do my weights today. And you pick up a 5-pound weight. Yes. And you do curls like, I did 20 curls, no problem today. Right. And there's no real benefit to your muscles. Whereas you pick up a 30-pound weight and you're struggling to get 6 curls and you're sweating and everything else, and you're breaking down that muscle. And then over time, it'll turn to 50 pounds and you're going to be getting your muscles. And unfortunately, and I'm really jealous of cats and dogs because I look after a lot of cats and dogs, and you know what they do most of the time? Nothing. Sleep. They just lay there. Lay there,
sleep.
Yeah.
And then they go overdrive maximum output.
Yeah, for like 20 minutes. And then they go back to sleep. And it's just like, man. And of course, if we could do the same thing. If we were like to sprint and run and jump up and down and everything else for 20 minutes till we were all exhausted, then, we would, but we don't do that, right? We're not really made that way. We want to make it easy, which easy is hard and hard is easy.
Yeah, there you go. And so let's go back to the fiber business. So not enough fiber equals not enough volume. So this fiber loading, of course, is great, because if you fill yourself with fiber, you will not be hungry, because you will fill your stomach and then you will fill your gut.
Yeah.
Uh,
Whereas if you're eating the processed foods, you'll never stop, because, we get a bag of tacos and it's massive, and we start eating it while we're watching the Super Bowl. And then the next thing you know, it's all gone. We're feeling a bit.
So, Scott, it's the ratio between calories and volume. In with corn, you are getting a lot of calories in a fairly small amount of volume. With fiber, you're getting a lot of volume with hardly any calories, because it's practically indigestible.
Right.
So,
and that's the key.
Yeah. There's this one famous dude talking about how vegetables are dangerous, the lectins that vegetables put out. I don't know. I have a memory challenge today. I can't think of his name either. And anyway, so he tells you that vegetables are dangerous, and then you should not eat this, that, and the other, and you should not eat spinach, or you shouldn't eat broccoli, or you shouldn't eat whatever it is. And truly, there are people who are having challenges with either nightshades or with salicylates, which is the spinach group. No, that's oxalates. That's the spinach group. Or salicylates, which is the tree nuts or fruit group.
Okay.
Like, for example, a dried apricot and chocolate are loaded with salicylates, which you may or may not have problems with.
So if you had a problem with them, what would it look like?
Allergic reactions.
Okay.
Skin rashes, sneezing, tiredness, all that whole immune gamut of immune challenges, starting from pain and loss of function.
So inflammation.
Yeah, all that.
Is a guy's name Gundry?
Oh yeah, very much so.
George, thank you very much. He's our
resident memory manager.
Right. So
yes, sir.
lignins.
Now lignins we sell. Okay, Scott has a bottle of lignins on hand somewhere.
Yeah.
Our favorite lignins come from flaxseed, and they're awesome. Yep.
So what do they do?
Well, it's volume, it's fiber. Lignum is the Latin word for wood.
Oh.
And lignin are the fibrous things that are woody. And so it's indigestible fiber.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 1 tablespoon a day?
Sure, absolutely.
Flax, yeah, is a good source according to George. Absolutely.
Yes, we do sell it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So what I do with it is I put some yogurt into a bowl. I put some cinnamon in the bowl, maybe some honey, and then I put some blueberries, and then I put a spoonful of lignins in there, stir it all up, and that's been my breakfast for the last few days. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were going from scratch, then you would freshly grind your flax seeds.
Right.
Oh, well.
Cool. All right. So we have some fibers and some stuff that we want to talk a little bit about now.
Yeah, let's promote the ones that we really work with a lot.
So let's start with apple fiber. So why should people be looking at apple fiber?
So it's affordable and it's really useful. And there are 2 useful parts to it. It's a high pectin apple fiber. Pectin being the stuff that is essentially the equivalent to collagen. It's the
Oh,
plant collagen, right? Anyway, it's a binder. It will bind toxic things and it will create bulk. This is what you get when you make apple cider or apple juice. You take the whole apple, you squeeze all the liquid out of it, and what's left is this fibrous stuff.
cool.
So,
So fiber does more than just sort of fill you up and clean you out. It'll also take some stuff and
mm,
it'll
yeah.
take out some of the bad stuff that's sticking in your body.
Oh yeah, it's a binder. It
A
does
binder.
awesome. And so there are soluble and insoluble parts to it. The soluble will go liquid. Insoluble will just simply provide mass. But all of it serves to increase the bulk of the stuff in your gut,
Cool.
which automatically the oligosaccharides will support the microbiome. This is known as the prebiotic.
So it's really important to get this type of fiber into your body.
Yeah, because it's a stabilizer, right? It'll slow down the uptake of carbs, so it will stabilize your blood glucose level. It will, by doing that, it will limit the rise in insulin, which will limit the rise in triglycerides, which will have your cholesterol level come down, right? Like it's a cascade of things.
Right. Cool. Okay. And let's take a look at this one. I don't even know how to say that.
Inulation.
Inulation prebiotic.
Now, inulin is the famous oligosaccharide, and the most famous sources are chicory, dahlia, and what do they make tequila out of?
It's a cactus.
Agave, right? And so those are awesome fibers. So we use agave fiber in a lot of the superfoods we make, the Exula superfoods. And so, yeah, anyway, this is great tool to, again, feed your bacteria and deal with your inflammatory issues in your gut when you push this.
And most of our inflammatory issues start in the gut, right? Like you got a sore knee or a sore elbow, chances are you've got inflammation that's coming out of your gut.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. And the next one is the Probiotics Consortia Bodybiotics, which is one of my...
That's one of the favorite foods that we have. And well, interestingly,
favorites.
This one thing is that's the seed, right? Remember we were talking about the fertilizer?
Yeah.
This is the seed part, because the probiotics, these are spores of microbes. So when you get it into your body, it will expand, warm up, and start growing immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want to really build a strong foundation. And our society just gives us all sorts of foods that destroy these things that are so important to our health, and they don't give us any of these things that are important to our health.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to eat sauerkraut, and pickles are, going away. I'm sad about that. I love eating pickles. And, we have all these foods that can really help, but because they're not sweet and
yeah, the sour and bitter are really important nutritionally, but are not as attractive in the mouth,
right.
Where fat, salty, and sweet are more pleasurable than bitter and no, let me restate that. People who are the thyroid dominant have a sweet preference. The adrenal types actually do quite well with savory. You don't ply them with cake. You ply them with savory food.
Right, but there's a difference between sour and savory.
Oh, yeah, very different. Yeah.
Very different, yeah. And this is something that, of course, the the food manufacturers know this. I mean, they're saying, okay, how can we combine this stuff in a way that makes you want to eat more of it, and then makes you go, oh, this is so good. And, the people making the sauerkraut are, well, fermented foods is good for you. Yeah, but I want something that tastes good, not as good for me. Right.
Yeah.
So then you have the choice between the chocolate cake with the big icing on it or a bowl of sauerkraut.
But isn't that interesting that the Japanese people have developed this appreciation of weird tasting things?
Mm-hmm.
The umami, the intensity of it, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever had your hands on raw natto, which is soybeans fermented with an E. coli. It smells like a latrine, I promise. And
No.
yet, people eat it, and it's resembling of strong cheeses, right? Like really, really gooey, stinky cheeses. That's from that category.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another area, right? Like certain cultures and societies, they go for cheese, like blue cheese. I mean, there's some pretty strong cheeses.
Yeah, like blue cheese, Stilton, Roquefort, Gorgonzola.
Gorgonzola, yeah, those cheeses, right?
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, our society is always being pushed to, and it starts young. Like, the baby's crying, give him a gummy bear, to chew on. And then, that's sweet and everything, and they're happy and everything else. And because we don't want to deal with the inconvenience of a crying baby.
Yeah, if you gave him a willow stick, he'll chew on that. And it would be bitter and astringent, and it will bring his fever down.
Then I think, Martin, that's something that probably beyond the scope of what we're talking about today, but, we put up with stuff that we think is easy, right? Like the baby's crying, give him the phone, he can play a game on the phone or something like that, right? And I remember being in Morocco, and the place I was at was like third or fourth floor. So it was fairly high looking down the hill. And I spent about half an hour just fascinated because I was watching this woman with her baby, right? Baby was maybe 1, maybe 2. And she was, I don't know if she was weaving something but she was basically sitting there on the top of this building, like a porch on the top of the building. And she was doing some sort of work. And there was nothing there, and the baby was totally quiet, totally behaving himself and exploring and looking and maybe playing a little bit with himself. But there wasn't like what we would see, which would be like 300 toys spewed around of every different color, right? And I just thought, like, wow, like I don't know in terms of, child development and everything else, how good or how bad it was, but it just blew my mind that there was this baby playing while mommy was working and not causing a problem.
You reminded me of a talk that I heard Trevor Noah, the famous comedian from South Africa, who's now bicontinental. Anyway, Trevor Noah is reminiscing on his childhood, and he said, "We were poor. My toy was a brick. And one day it was a truck. Next day it was a train and whatever. I had a stick and I had a brick. And that's that.
That's that. Yeah.
The rest, imagination."
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just funny how what we put up with, how we put up with things, and we don't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
And that's the same with your health. You don't have to put up with poor health. You don't have to put up with a foggy brain. It happens. We've had examples of both of us today in our show going, oh, what's that thing? And, it's part of life. But you can always get better. And you're either improving or devolving. And,
interestingly, this Gundry name that was brought up, I have consistently had a problem recalling his name. I can readily visualize his face, his glasses, his tone of voice, everything. I know exactly. I've listened to him good many podcasts, whatever. He's a nice, clever guy. What I don't remember is his name. And maybe it's I pronounce it wrong. Maybe it's dry gun dry. Maybe I'll put it together like this.
Right. Awesome. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our time together, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. George says, thank you, Scott and Martin. Another great episode. Appreciate that, George. Please hit the like button. Please share this with your friends. Please hit subscribe. Please put on your calendar Wednesdays, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. Join us live. We love having your comments. We love having you join us. We love helping people get better and better. And we're both examples of when you set the right intention, when you eat the right foods, when you make sure that you have time for rest and relaxation, that you get better and better, because both of us have been incredibly sick. And now we aren't.
No, we're not.
And now we're not.
We are on 0 prescription or over-the-counter chemicals.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And some fine-looking woman, for I could see, says that I'm great.
Yeah. I'm not even going to try to say that name.
She's a user something.
So really getting better starts with you. And I don't think that there's any depth that you can go to. The doctors were telling my mom that I had 1 day left to live. So I don't know how further down the bottom you can get than that. And that was 14 years ago or 12 years ago. And I'm still here and in better health than I've been. Improving. My health has been constantly improving. Not that that what I had before is something that lingered. But when you're
it's shocking when I compare myself at 73 to my 33, and it's
unbelievable.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, big pharma. We love big pharma. They do so many good things for us.
It's amazing that somebody can use the word "chew" in a sentence.
Yeah,
I know I'm mispronouncing it intentionally.
All right. So this has been the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
My body's a temple, but the walls are cracked. Stuck in the rubble of the years I've stacked. Stagnation in my veins like a river turned to dust. Toxic whispers in the wind, but I gotta rebuild. I must.